All right, I think we are good now. So, the Utah versus Florida game just concluded. Give me a second. Just this lighting here. There we go. That looks a little better. There we go. All right. The Florida versus Utah game just concluded, and I have some thoughts. So, let me start with the positive for the Gators. So, actually, no, I'm going to start with the negative. So, I was very disappointed in our offensive line. I'm in disbelief. I did not expect. I know it's a new unit, but I just they're a big offensive line. They're experienced. There was no freshman on that offensive line. Everyone had playing time. I don't understand how we only have I think I don't know have the exact number, but 20 rushing yards, less than 30. I have no idea. As I expressed in my previous video, our running game was supposed to be the vocal point of our offense, of the Florida Gators offense. And we got 20 yards around that range. Maybe we got a little more. They showed that stat like in the fourth quarter, and then we started running a couple more. But I know, okay, for sure, I'll throw this out there. I know for sure we had less than 50, for sure. There was a point that we were averaging 0.9 per carry, not even a yard per carry. I hope that this is just a first game thing and that this doesn't play out the whole season. If this plays out the whole season, we will have wasted the talents of Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne. We need to get this. They need to get this situation figured out. It's no excuse. It's no excuse. Like, there was a couple things that on the Gators that looked bad that at times, but consistently our offensive line was terrible. They would not open the run lanes for the running game. Mertz was sacked 5 times, was pressured way more than that. The times it was incomplete, that he threw incomplete passes, and even an interception, it's because they didn't give him time. He got no time. So that's my biggest takeaway from the Utah-Florida game, that for the Florida Gators, there needs to be some work on that offensive line starting today. As soon as they get back in that locker room, as soon as they get on that plane or hotel or whatever, they need to do some changes. I personally think they need to play not Kanaji Harris, even though he's a true freshman. They need to give him that shot, because I just couldn't believe it. Like, Mertz. Okay, I'm gonna end on this with the offensive line. To be fair, Kingsley Eguken, our starting center who started 26 or so consecutive games, he missed the game. But as a whole, I don't think, even with him starting, maybe we do less false starts, but all the holding penalties, all the stupid penalties on the offensive line, that's just inexcusable. They really need to get it together, because we're gonna finish 4-8, like people were saying, if that offensive line continues to look this way. So we really need to get on that. And then on to the second negative thing. A lot of bonehead decisions, a lot of false starts, a lot of holdings, some decisions to let punts, to catch the punt at the 1 yard line, try to run it instead of letting the punt go into the end zone for a touchback. A lot of boneheaded decisions, especially when we had two number 3s on the field at the same time. That's ridiculous. In the beginning, in the first half through most of the third, I began doubting Billy Napier. Billy Napier's play calling ability. I'm not saying is to give up on Billy Napier and just sail that down down the river. But if the decision making and the play calling doesn't get better, I think it's time we get an offensive coordinator. It's really hard to be a coach and coordinate the offense as well. That's why they have offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. But but yeah, something I I don't know. I just play calling was bad. In the fourth quarter, of course, as most Florida Gator games are. In the fourth quarter, they great plays started coming out of nowhere, and we started playing with some urgency. But that's how it's been for the last couple of years. We always decide to wake up in the fourth quarter. But of course, it was too little, too late, and that was just ridiculous. But let me think. The run game just appalling. Utah, their defensive line, I'll give it to them. Maybe Florida's offensive line isn't as terrible as it seemed tonight. Maybe it's just Utah's defensive line is that good. I've seen many different sources rate Utah's defensive line as the best in the Pac-12. So maybe they just got manhandled and they're actually not a bad unit. And also it's the first game, so maybe that's something I'm thinking about. But I'm impressed. I'm impressed of Utah for being able to completely take the run game out of the equation. Like, forget running. That was. There's nothing they could do. There's nothing they could do there. But anyways, I'm gonna stick to the side of the ball. So Gators offense, running awful. We already know that. The receivers, I gotta give it to the tight ends, to Jonathan Odom specifically. He did good, and apparently I heard he's not fully healthy, and he caught some important catches. He was a reliable target. Didn't drop any balls to my knowledge, and that was good. This is the most we've used the tight ends since honestly the Pitts era. We haven't used tight ends in a while. So tight ends are a very important position. Look at Utah; they loved using their tight ends, and yeah, I hope to see that more. Hope to see that more. Maybe run two tight ends receiving and see how that goes. I don't know. Just try to switch it up. So tight end wasn't bad. Caleb Douglas had an amazing touchdown. Ricky Pearsall, they could not guard him. Mertz missed him at the end. That would have been a great touchdown, but he was lighting them up after that interception. He was lighting them up. So very proud of Ricky. He was the only reason that we didn't look horrendous. We looked bad, but because of Ricky Pearsall, we didn't look horrendous. And anyways, the last position is on this side of the ball is. Oh, before I go into that, it's quarterback. I won't keep it in there too much. But before I go to that, the Utah's linebackers and their defensive backs, they were solid. They weren't like the Utah's defensive line who was just causing havoc. I mean, the linebackers for Utah when they blitzed, that did cause havoc, but they didn't really have much effect on the receivers as much as I thought they would. So I'm gonna keep that brief there. But going to quarterback, Graham Mertz. I'll stand on a hill and defend Graham Mertz. 31 for 44 passes completed and 333 yards on the air and one touchdown, while also having one interception. That's not terrible, and if you look at the interception, it may be his fault. Maybe he threw it too soon, but you could always blame the offensive line. They didn't give him enough time. He threw it. It was right in Ricky. It was in Ricky's vicinity. He hadn't finished running his route, but it was there, and he missed it, and it went in the air, and they intercepted it. So that was the interception. So I don't really blame Mertz a whole lot for that, but as a whole, sometimes he missed some throws, but he didn't do that bad. Gator fans, I mean, I don't know. I feel like people will trash him, some Gator fans and people that didn't even watch the game just because of what he did at Wisconsin, which isn't fair because a bunch of transfer quarterbacks they did better after they transferred. But Mertz didn't do bad. 300, like I said, 333 on 70% completion with one touchdown. That's pretty good, especially when he was not supposed to. I don't think that was the game plan for him to throw 44 times. So I think he didn't do too bad. And yeah, I really would love to see what else Mertz can do when he's given the time in the pocket because I I saw a lot of promise there, and I think that I actually feel fine with Mertz. I don't think he's gonna be a liability from what I've seen if he keeps it up this play because he played good, and I will, like I said, I'll stand on a hill and I'll defend Mertz for that. But going to Utah, I mean, this is Florida Gator channel. I'm a Florida Gator fan, but I'm gonna give Utah credit where credit's due. That first play was very smart to go deep. I wasn't expecting it. Nobody was expecting it, and they scored a touchdown, and that was very smart. And the way they used their quarterbacks, I feel like that should have really tripped up the defense. Like they had one that was even they had their one running back, one quarterback that was running the ball a lot, and I think he barely threw a pass, maybe a couple passes, but he was running the ball mostly. And then they had one that was mostly throwing. He did score a rushing touchdown, but yeah. So I think their dynamic between their two quarterbacks worked out perfect for them. They did great in that first half, and our defense was like okay in the first half. Like our defensive line was they were stopping the run. That's something I was proud of that we did consistently throughout the game. We stopped the run, and I'm proud of them for that. Our linebackers in the beginning, like those tight ends, were getting those passes right through the middle of the field, and I didn't really like that. But in the second half, they scored a touchdown early on because of I don't know if it was the 20-yard punt or if it was another dumb dumb thing that the Gators did, but yeah, they got really good field position. They were right in front of the goal. Like I would have really praised the Gators defense if they stopped it, but they ended up not stopping it. And yeah, they scored. But I don't hold that on the Gators. I don't hold that on the Gators at all. The defense stepped up to even another level on the second half. We did a bunch of 3-and-outs. We gave the offense so many chances. Our defensive backs were breaking up passes. Our defensive line was applying more pressure. The tackles in space were great. It was one of the like we there was very few times where they like broke a tackle and like kept going. Like we did really good tackling. So I'm very proud of our defense. It doesn't depress me as much knowing that seeing how our defense played. It doesn't depress me thinking about the rest of the season, because I saw how our defense played today, and we played pretty good. We shut them down in the second half. Like after that touchdown that was given up because of special teams or offense, our 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 defense was good. I was very proud of them. So yeah, my takeaways in conclusion are Utah had a great game plan. We were able to the defense stepped up in that second half, and we were able to kind of shut them down in the second half, but their defensive line just kept ripping through our offensive line, and there was just nothing we could do. And I don't know, we decided to make the right plays way too late. So those are my takeaways for this game. Yeah, I'm not completely in I'm not completely in shambles. I don't think that the season's over. I still don't think we're gonna finish 4-8. We have lots of room for improvement. We have the size at the offensive line. I think we can pull it together, and if Mertz stays in his lane, like doesn't get flustered and like I don't know, doesn't go out of his comfort zone, I really think that we can still do good. We're 0-1. Like this is week 1. Utah's number 14. I know they have their backup quarterbacks, but as a roster as a whole, whatever, they are a better team than us. They are. Like I was hoping that the Gators would take advantage of the quarterback situation, and our offense just couldn't deal with their defense. So that being said, I think the Gators will be fine this year. It's no need to hop on the Fire Billy train. But if the season progresses and it's just well, I guess yeah, offensive plays keep coming up, then eventually I'm gonna take out my pitchfork and be like, it's time to get an offensive coordinator. But definitely no Fire Billy. I'm not feeling that way right now. And yeah, big things. Offensive line needs to improve. Dire, desperate need to improve. And the costly penalties, the dumb penalties, the brainless penalty. I can use a bunch of adjectives, but a bunch of synonyms, but those penalties there needs to be no more of that. It's ridiculous. We would stop them. They were punting once, and then the thing that we had, like I said, that they had two players that had the same number, that gave them the first down, and I think they scored on that. So we just kept giving them opportunities, and then on third down, we converted maybe 2 or 3 out of like 16. And then our kicking, our special teams, I was wrapping this up, but I completely glossed over the special teams. I don't like to be that guy to kick a kicker when he's down, but we can't. It might be time to just not completely bench our kicker, but just maybe rotate the other guy in, because that's a game changer when your kicker's missing 20 to 30-yard field goals. I mean, for the average Joe, that's no walk in the park, but for a kicker, at least a collegiate kicker, they need to be making those. Like, we went for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 3, like twice. I think twice or 3 times when we could have easily kicked. That could have been 9 more points, and the game could have been a lot more different. So it's just a bummer when you know that your team isn't that bad as they seemed. When you know that, it's just very unfortunate. So we really need to limit those costly, boneheaded penalties, and special teams needs to step up on the punt returns. We need to know when to catch and when not to catch it. The kickers, if one is just not doing his job, you gotta just switch him out for the other, because we can't just avoid kicking because our kicker's missing. Like, I get it, you don't want to miss on that opportunity, but kickers are very important. Those 3 points accumulate. If we would have done if we would have kicked it on 4th and 1, 4th and 3, and all that, and made it the time when he missed it, that's, like I said, 9 more points. It would have been 12. We would have had 12 without a touchdown. I'm telling you, special teams is important. So, as you can tell, I don't have much of a voice. I've been yelling and telling the Gators what to do and what not to do. But with that being said, I'm gonna do a quick letter grade on each position. Quarterback, B. I was gonna say B plus, but I'm gonna go with B. Receiver, it's kind of skewed. Douglas did really good, but for that touchdown, Ricky really just carried. So because of Ricky carrying, and Marcus Burke had a good catch too, but again, they kept doing illegal formation. They had 3 or 4 illegal formations. So I was gonna give him a B, but I'm gonna give him a C plus. Ricky alone, A plus. Like, he couldn't have played much better. Well, A, because that one catch, even though he wasn't finished doing his route, I get it. It was here, so A instead of A plus. Offensive line, F minus. Z, I'm gonna go deep in the alphabet, like the worst possible. Our offensive line was atrocious. Like, Changes need to happen. That's unacceptable. Tight ends, C plus. Good for our tight ends. Okay, sorry. I got the low battery thing, but C plus for our tight ends, not bad. Defensive line, A. Our defensive line did good. A plus that we got more sacks, and the times where the other quarterback fumbled, if we would have recovered those, that's an A. Linebacker, I would say B. B in the beginning, in the first half, it was like C, but B. They B plus, B plus. They, because of the second half, they were able to finish the tackles. They were able to. They figured it out. They figured it out. And the DBs, minus that first play, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna like go after them on that first play. Too, I'm not gonna really criticize them too much for that first offensive Utah play of the game, because that's great coaching. Like I'm gonna give Kyle Whittingham his flowers for that beautiful call. Beautiful call. So I'm not gonna harp on them too much for that. Really caught everyone off guard. So I'll give them maybe a B plus. They had some great pass breakups. There was one that should have been an interception. They should have been, well, two that should have been interceptions, but pass breakups, they didn't get the first down. And third down defense was amazing. I liked that they converted on some, but I'm saying it's amazing because last year we finished 129th. There's 133 teams, by the way, so that's really bad. Being an SEC school, being the Florida Gators, finishing 129th on third down defense. We do this thing that's the money down. It hasn't been the money down for years, so I'm not doing this like money until we consistently get third down stops, because it has not been our money down for the past few years, but we got it done. We got it done. So those are the grades for offense and defense. Special teams, D. D on the special teams. Disappointment. Our kicker, Mahalik, he made the first field goal, which is good, but then him missing that second field goal just really put us in a bad spot. So those are my grades for this game. And yeah, this sucks. I wish that I would have came in here whooping and hollering because we won, but we didn't. So that's that. The only thing, I love football, but I really it sucks. Like when you lose, you have to marinate on that loss until the next week. So that's grueling, but it'll be all right. Our defense looking solid really gives me hope. Graham Mertz looking solid gives me hope. Ricky Pearsall taking it to another level and showing that he's a top receiver gave me hope. So yeah, on to the next game. I really hope we just no crap with beat McNeese State. We gotta pummel them. We need to just no playing with our food, no foolishness. We got to give the Gator fans, the Gator faithful, something to be happy about. So we gotta bring fireworks for that, and our defense has to not give up unnecessary long plays. So with that being said, those are my takeaways from this game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to next week for the Florida versus McNeese game at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And yeah, it's Florida's home opener, so I will be very excited to see that. But as a football fan, if you just love college football in general, college football has a game Friday, has games Friday, my bad, more than one game Friday, game Saturday, a really good game on Sunday, LSU versus FSU. Definitely going to be rooting for, I may be rooting for LSU for certain reasons, because, yeah, it'd be very hard to root for the Noles. And then on Monday, Clemson versus Duke. So, if you're a Gator fan and you're upset about this loss, as I am, maybe something to take your mind off of it will be to watch the other good games throughout the week. So, that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope the next live video I do is more positive and I'm able to express how proud I am of the offensive line. But I will see you guys for sure next week, and go Gators. No reason to jump off board and abandon ship and panic. So go Gators.